Hi beautiful people, it's attorney Candace, and today let's talk about what to do when your medical bills by far exceed the other driver's policy limits. All right. So I'm attorney Candace and I handle a ton of personal injury cases, whether it's car wrecks, slip and falls, you name it. And so right now we're going to talk about a rare instance when you have medical bills for treatment you received that are way more than the insurance policy's limit. Okay, so a great example of that is, here in the state of Texas, our state requirements for insurance is a minimum of 30,000 policy limit. Okay, so let's say you get into a car accident with someone who has a state policy limits, right? The 30,000 is the maximum that they have, right? And let's just say that, hey, you got hurt pretty bad. You had to see multiple different medical providers, chiropractors. You went to the emergency room. You had a physical therapist, you name it. That could easily and quickly accumulate medical bills that exceed that 30,000. Okay, so in that case, most people are like, well, dang it, there's no extra money for me after I settle because I got to pay back all these medical providers, and then I still don't even have enough to fully pay the medical providers. So what do you do? So in that case, what you can do is, you can send reduction requests. You can have your attorney send reduction requests to those medical providers to basically say, hey, we're trying to settle this case. However, the insurance, their policy limit is much lower than the total medical bills. So to incentivize the client to settle, we kind of need your help. Can you reduce the medical bills? And so you can send that reduction letter to all of the medical providers, and they're typically really nice about it. I mean, they're not going to wipe out all of the bills or whatever, but they're typically pretty fair and they will reduce the medical bills, okay? And so that's the first thing that, I suggest doing. And then the other thing is, it depends on who caused the injury to you, okay? So for example, if a driver hit you in the same scenario we just mentioned a moment ago, and their insurance that they have has a policy limits of 30,000, well, let's just assume that driver, your attorney researched the driver and that driver has assets, okay? Let's say they have a house that they own. Let's say they have, lots of different assets, or you feel like they have money themselves to pay, okay? So I don't recommend this often, but when it makes sense, it makes sense. So if the person who caused your injury has assets and money outside of the insurance policy, then it could make sense to just go ahead and sue that person, and have them go into their personal assets, right? So once you get a judgment against them, you can then start enforcing that judgment against their assets, okay? Now that's a longer process compared to just working with their insurance and getting the insurance to just write you a check, you know what I mean? However, depending on how extensive your medical bills are and your injuries are, and also, how wealthy that driver is, if they have some serious assets and things like that, it might be worth your time, all right? But those are your 2 tips on what to do if you have medical bills that by far exceed the person's insurance policy limits. All right, I'm attorney Candace. If you get into a wreck in Texas, anything in Texas with injuries, give my office a call. Till next time.